You reach a point in life where something inside you whispers, "This can't be it." You go through the motions, the same mornings, the same distractions, the same quiet doubts, and then one day, it hits you. You realize you've been moving, but not really going anywhere. You've been busy, but not truly becoming. And that's the awakening moment. The quiet realization that life isn't about what happens to you. It's about what you choose to become because of it. You see, most people never stop long enough to ask themselves, who am I becoming? They chase goals, money, comfort, or recognition. But rarely do they stop to notice that in chasing all these things, they might be losing something far more important: themselves. Becoming isn't a single decision. It's a series of choices made every day. Choices about what you will tolerate, what you will fight for, and what kind of person you will show up as when the world tests you. You don't need to know everything. You just need to start with one question. What kind of person do I want to be by the end of this year? Because once you define that, everything begins to shift. Your habits start to align. Your mind begins to focus. Your heart begins to strengthen. That's how real change happens, quietly, consistently, through the daily shaping of your own character. This year doesn't have to be like the last one. You don't have to repeat old cycles of fear, procrastination, or self-doubt. But to make it different, you have to be different. You can't wait for motivation to strike like lightning, because it won't. Motivation is not a miracle. It's a decision. It's you saying, I will move forward even when I don't feel like it. The year that changes everything won't begin with fireworks or applause. It will begin on an ordinary morning, the day you choose to stop running from yourself. Because you cannot master life until you learn to master you. You must learn to face yourself, your fears, your excuses, your wasted potential, and instead of resenting it, use it as fuel. It's easy to say someday, but life doesn't give you someday. It gives you today. And if you don't use today well, tomorrow will look exactly like yesterday. So, if you're listening to this, take a moment and breathe. Forget the noise. Forget what everyone else is doing. Ask yourself, quietly and honestly, what do I truly want my life to mean? Because until you know that, you'll be living someone else's dream, following someone else's path, building someone else's story. The awakening begins when you stop chasing what looks good and start pursuing what feels right. It begins when you stop comparing and start creating. When you stop complaining and start correcting. When you stop wishing and start working. This is your turning point. Not because the world will suddenly become easier, but because you'll become stronger. You see, it's not what's happening around you that determines your future. It's what's happening within you. When your vision becomes clear, when your purpose becomes firm, when your heart becomes steady, the world begins to change shape around you. That's the power of awakening. That's the first step toward becoming. The discipline of becoming. You've awakened. But awakening alone isn't enough. Because the moment you decide to change, life begins to test you. It's almost as if the world whispers, you say you want to grow? Then let's see if you're serious. And that's when discipline steps in. Discipline isn't punishment. It's the purest form of self-respect. It's you telling yourself, I am worth the effort. Most people think discipline means restriction, but in truth, it's freedom. Because the moment you learn to master your impulses, your emotions, and your time, you free yourself from being ruled by them. Every great person you admire has walked the same path. They fought the same battles you're fighting: laziness, doubt, distraction, fear. The only difference? They didn't let those feelings decide their future. You see, feelings are like weather. They come and go. If you only move when it's sunny, you'll never make it through the storm. The disciplined person shows up anyway. They work when it's raining. They build when it's dark. They push when no one is watching. Discipline means doing what you said you'd do, long after the mood you said it in has left you. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not easy. But it's the quiet foundation of every extraordinary life. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are rewriting your story. You are sending a message to your future self. I can be trusted. And when you trust yourself, truly trust yourself, everything changes. Because now, your goals are not wishes. They're promises. There will be days when you'll feel like you're not making progress. days when the results are invisible, when the world doesn't clap for you. But remember, growth is silent. A seed doesn't make noise as it breaks the ground, but one day it becomes a forest. Don't let impatience kill your momentum. You can't microwave greatness. You must build it, brick by brick, day by day, action by action. You'll fail, you'll stumble, you'll question yourself, but that's part of the process. Every setback is a test of your consistency. When you fall off track, and you will, the key is to return quickly. Don't waste days punishing yourself for what's done. Learn the lesson, refocus, and move again. The disciplined mind doesn't dwell on what went wrong. It asks, what can I do next? You must remember, discipline doesn't remove struggle. It refines it. The struggle never goes away. It just becomes more meaningful. At first, discipline feels like a cage. Later, it becomes your wings. And there's something sacred about keeping your word to yourself. When you say you'll wake up early, and you do. When you say you'll eat better, and you do. When you say you'll chase your dreams, and you actually do. That's how self-belief is born, not through talk, but through evidence. It's not the motivation that shapes your destiny. It's your habits, because your habits become your character, and your character determines your fate. So, guard your habits like treasure, because every habit is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. If you want to be strong, practice strength. If you want to be wise, practice reflection. If you want to be calm, practice patience. If you want to be great, practice greatness daily, even in the smallest acts. You don't need perfection. You need persistence. Because small efforts, compounded over time, create transformations so powerful, they look like miracles from the outside. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't magic. It was discipline. It was a simple decision to keep showing up, no matter how you felt. That's the discipline of becoming. Not chasing quick results, but developing quiet power. The power to do what needs to be done, especially when no one's watching. That's how you change your life. That's how you earn peace. That's how you become the person you were meant to be. The battle within. Every journey of becoming eventually leads you here, to the battlefield within your own mind, the place where your greatest victories and your hardest defeats are fought long before the world ever sees them. Because the real fight is never out there. It's in here. It's between your potential and your excuses, between your dreams and your fears, between who you are and who you could be. You can't escape this battle. You can only learn to fight it well. Every day, your mind will try to protect you from discomfort. It will whisper, take it easy. It will remind you of your past failures. It will try to convince you that staying the same is safer than growing. But understand this, your mind's goal is safety, not success. And if you listen to that voice for too long, you'll trade your greatness for comfort. The battle within begins the moment you decide to rise above who you were yesterday. Because every version of you, the lazy one, the fearful one, the distracted one, will try to pull you back to old habits. But if you want to become someone new, you must first outgrow who you used to be. You'll have to face the voices that say, you're not ready. The memories that remind you of your past mistakes. The fear that says, what if I fail again? But here's the truth. Those voices are not there to stop you. They're there to test you. They're the gatekeepers of transformation. And the only way through is forward. You must learn to speak back to those voices. To say, yes, I've failed before, but I'm not that person anymore. To say, yes, I'm afraid, but I'll move anyway. To say, yes, it's hard, but not impossible. Because courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. Courage means you move with it. You can't wait to feel ready. You become ready by acting. You can't wait to feel confident. You build confidence by doing. You can't wait to stop being afraid. You grow stronger because you face what scares you. Every time you conquer a small fear, you reclaim a piece of your power. And eventually, those small victories build a momentum that even doubt can't stop. But understand this, the battle within never truly ends. You don't defeat fear or laziness once and for all. You outgrow them. You become stronger and they become smaller. That's the quiet truth no one tells you. You don't eliminate weakness. You learn to rise above it. You learn to keep moving even when your mind screams stop. You learn to create light, even when life feels dark. And that's why self-mastery is so rare, because it demands that you face your own chaos, not once, but daily. When you feel resistance, don't run from it. Lean into it, because resistance is proof that you're growing. No resistance means no growth. The battle within will humble you, break you, teach you. It will show you how fragile and how powerful you really are. And if you stay in that fight long enough, you will meet a new version of yourself. Someone stronger, wiser, calmer. Someone who doesn't need validation to feel worthy. Someone who doesn't chase peace because they built it within. You'll start to notice that your reactions change. Where you once got angry, now you pause. Where you once gave up, now you persist. Where you once feared failure, now you see it as part of the process. That's the moment you realize you're not who you used to be, because the greatest victory in life isn't winning against others. It's mastering yourself. It's knowing that no matter what happens, you'll remain steady. That's when the mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. That's when you start living from strength, not survival. That's when life begins to open up in ways you never imagined. And all of it starts with one daily choice: to show up for the battle within and fight with courage, patience, and faith. The power of stillness. There comes a point in your journey when you realize not every battle requires movement. Some victories are born from stillness, because when the noise of the world grows louder, wisdom whispers in silence. Stillness is not doing nothing. It's doing the most important thing: listening. Listening to yourself. Listening to life. Listening to the quiet truth that exists beneath all the noise of worry, desire, and distraction. In a world obsessed with constant motion, stillness is rebellion, because it takes courage to pause. It takes strength to stop chasing and start observing. Most people run from silence because it forces them to meet themselves. In silence, you can't hide behind activity or excuses. You see yourself clearly, your patterns, your fears, your motives. And that's why it's so uncomfortable. But that's also why it's so powerful. Stillness teaches you to see things as they are, not as you wish they were. It reminds you that not every problem requires a reaction, that not every situation demands your energy, that peace is not found in control, it's found in acceptance. The disciplined mind works hard. The wise mind knows when to rest. Stillness is where those two meet. Effort and ease, drive and grace. You must learn to be still, not because life will slow down for you, but because stillness allows you to slow down enough to see life clearly. When you're still, you begin to notice things. How many of your fears are imagined? How many of your worries never actually happen? How many of your frustrations are just expectations that never belong to you? Stillness reveals truth, and truth reveals peace. The world will tell you that peace is something you find, but that's wrong. Peace isn't found. It's created. You create it every time you choose calm over chaos, patience over panic, presence over distraction. Stillness doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful. Because when you are calm inside, the storms outside lose their control. You can't think clearly when you're rushing. You can't see possibilities when your mind is clouded by noise. You can't make wise decisions when you're ruled by impulse. But when you cultivate stillness, your awareness sharpens. Your actions become intentional. Your energy becomes directed. Stillness gives you control, not over the world, but over yourself. And when you have control over yourself, you have control over everything that matters. Many people spend their lives reacting, jumping from emotion to emotion, crisis to crisis, never realizing that peace was never missing. It was just buried under too much movement. If you could learn to sit in silence for even 10 minutes a day, you would begin to understand the architecture of your own mind. You would see how thoughts rise and fall. You would see that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent truths. You would realize that what disturbs your peace isn't life itself. It's your resistance to life. Stillness teaches you surrender, not as an act of weakness, but as an act of wisdom. Because surrender isn't giving up, it's letting go of what you were never meant to control. When you let go, you make room for clarity. When you pause, you make room for direction. When you listen, You make room for guidance. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will not come while you're running toward something. They will come when you stop long enough to receive them. So don't fear stillness. Welcome it. Don't see silence as emptiness. See it as space where your next transformation begins to take shape. Because in that silence, you will hear the voice of your own becoming. And it will tell you, you are exactly where you need to be. The law of consistency. By now, you understand that change isn't born from one grand act. It's shaped through quiet repetition. And that's the essence of the law of consistency. You see, success doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most consistent. The ones who show up. The ones who keep their promises long after excitement fades. The ones who do what needs to be done again and again until the result can no longer hide from them. Consistency is the bridge between intention and transformation. It's what turns dreams into habits, and habits into character. You can have the best plan, the best tools, the best motivation. But without consistency, all of it fades into nothing. Because the universe doesn't reward intensity, it rewards persistence. Anyone can be inspired for a day, but can you stay committed for a decade? Can you keep working when no one's clapping? Can you plant seeds you might not see bloom for years? That's the real test of your becoming. Staying loyal to the process, not just a promise. Every great builder, artist, leader, or thinker has understood this truth. It's not about how hard you work once. It's about how faithfully you return to your craft every single day. You don't grow because you do everything right. You grow because you keep showing up even when you get it wrong. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about returning. Returning to your vision. Returning to your values. Returning to your effort again and again, even when it feels like nothing's changing. And here's the quiet irony. You won't notice the change as it happens. You'll think you're stuck. You'll think it's pointless. But one day, someone will look at you and say, "You've changed." And you'll realize they're right, because consistency has been transforming you silently every single day. It's like water carving through stone. It doesn't rush, it doesn't shout, it doesn't force. It simply stays. And over time, nothing can resist it. That's what consistency does to your life. It shapes the invisible. It builds momentum. It turns effort into excellence. And here's something else. The days you feel least motivated are the days that matter most. Because consistency isn't proven when you feel strong. It's proven when you feel tired. When your mind says not today, and you whisper back, today especially. The truth is, every small act of consistency compounds. Reading one page, writing one paragraph, training for 1 hour, saving $1, choosing one healthy meal. Every small act is a seed, invisible now, inevitable later. Because the law of consistency is not about speed, it's about direction. It's about staying on the path long enough for the path to reward you. You see, most people quit not because the goal was impossible, but because they stopped walking before the miracle happened. They gave up 3 feet before the gold. They got bored right before the breakthrough. They mistook slow growth for no growth. But not you. You understand now that everything meaningful takes time. That mastery is not an event, it's a lifestyle. That progress is not a straight line, it's a rhythm. So when it feels slow, stay steady. When it feels repetitive, stay grateful. When it feels invisible, stay faithful. Because consistency will make you what talent alone never could. It will make you unstoppable. You'll look back one day and realize that the person you become, calm, disciplined, wise, unshakable, was built in moments that looked ordinary. Moments no one noticed. Moments you could have easily skipped, but didn't. That's the quiet beauty of consistency. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's the force that shapes everything lasting. Keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when no one believes yet. Because consistency doesn't just change your results, it changes you. And that change is the foundation of everything else you're about to become. The season of growth. There's a season in every life when the seeds you've planted begin to stir beneath the surface. You can't see it yet, but something inside you is shifting. The habits you built, the discipline you practiced, the consistency you've shown, they've all been working quietly in the dark. And that's the season of growth. Growth rarely announces itself. It doesn't come with applause or recognition. It happens quietly, like dawn breaking through the night. The world loves results, but the wise understand that results are just a visible part of a much deeper process. Before the tree stands tall, its roots must grow unseen. Before strength appears on the surface, it must be built within. You're growing even when it feels like nothing's happening. You're evolving when you're showing up, staying patient, and refusing to quit. Every small effort, every quiet act of courage, every day you choose to rise, it's all part of your unfolding. But growth doesn't come without resistance. Just like muscles grow through tension, character grows through challenge. Every obstacle you face is not there to stop you. It's there to shape you. It's life's way of asking, do you really want this? And when you push through those moments, when you do the hard things even when it feels unfair or uncertain, that's when true growth happens. You can't protect yourself from pain and expect to grow at the same time. Pain isn't your enemy. It's your instructor. It's there to teach you endurance, humility, focus. It's there to carve away the weaker parts of you, so the stronger self can emerge. When life challenges you, don't ask, why me? Ask instead, what is this trying to teach me? Growth often hides inside discomfort. Every time you feel lost, uncertain, or uncomfortable, something new is being born within you. It might not be visible yet, but it's real. Just as winter hides the promise of spring, your hardest seasons hide your greatest transformations. Don't rush the process. Growth has its own rhythm. It takes time for truth to take root. You can't harvest the same day you plant. You can't force the flower to bloom. You can only nurture it with patience, faith, and consistent care. And one day, you'll look back at all those times you thought you were stuck and realize you were simply growing underground, building roots deep enough to hold the weight of the greatness that was coming. That's why it's so important not to quit in the middle, because growth is invisible until it isn't. And when it finally appears, it looks effortless, even though it was anything but. You are in a season right now, maybe a building, maybe a breaking, maybe a blooming. Whatever season you're in, honor it. Don't curse it for being hard. Thank it for being real. Because no matter how painful or uncertain it feels, this season is working for you, not against you. It's shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, more grounded. So, instead of asking for an easier path, ask for a stronger spirit. Instead of asking for lighter burdens, ask for broader shoulders. Instead of asking for faster results, ask for deeper growth. Because the person you are becoming through this process, that's the reward. The transformation happening inside you, that's the real success. And the beautiful truth is, growth never ends. It doesn't stop once you reach a goal. It doesn't finish when others notice your progress. Growth is a lifelong journey of becoming, again and again, at every stage, in every season. So be patient with yourself. Trust the unseen work. Because even when it's silent, growth is happening. And someday, you'll see what all this struggle was building, not a perfect life, but a powerful you, the art of letting go. There comes a moment on the journey of becoming when progress no longer depends on what you gain, but on what you release. And that's the art of letting go. You see, most of us carry too much. We hold on to old stories, old identities, old pain, believing they somehow define who we are. But what if the person you've been is no longer the person you're meant to be? Growth demands that you make peace with the past, not live in it. It's not easy, because letting go means surrendering control, admitting that some chapters are complete. But freedom always begins with release. You cannot move forward while gripping the weight of yesterday. You can't receive new blessings while your hands are still full of old burdens. Sometimes, the heaviest thing you'll ever lift is your own history. Letting go isn't forgetting, it's understanding. It's realizing that what happened for you, not to you. That every loss carried a lesson, and every wound shaped your wisdom. The people who left taught you independence. The failures you faced taught you resilience. The heartbreak you endured taught you depth. Everything that once felt like an ending was quietly preparing you for a new beginning. You see, life is not about holding on to everything. It's about knowing when to release what no longer serves your growth. Sometimes, that means walking away from things that once felt like home. And that's okay. because your path will demand it, not as punishment, but as purification. When you let go, you make space for peace, for new ideas, for unexpected miracles. You make space for who you are becoming. But here's the challenge. We often think that holding on shows strength. In truth, it's letting go that requires real courage. It's easy to cling to what's familiar, even when it's painful. It's harder to release it and step into the unknown, trusting that something better awaits. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you choose peace over control. It means you allow life to flow instead of forcing it to fit your expectations. The wise understand that not everything or everyone is meant to stay forever. Some people are teachers, not companions. Some moments are lessons, not destinations. Some doors are meant to close, so better ones can open. And sometimes you'll find yourself standing at that threshold, torn between the comfort of what was and the mystery of what could be. In that moment, listen to your soul. It already knows which direction leads to freedom. Letting go also means forgiving, not just others, but yourself. Forgiving yourself for the mistakes, the delays, the missed chances. Because guilt is a chain, and you can't rise while wearing chains. You did the best you could with what you knew then. And now, you know more, so you can do better. That's the essence of growth. Learning, releasing, renewing. Like a tree shedding its leaves. You let go of what no longer gives life. Because you trust that spring will come again, and you'll bloom once more. Don't fear the empty spaces that letting go creates. They're not voids, they're invitations. Invitations for grace, healing, and possibility. Because when you let go of what's no longer meant for you, you make room for what is. And one day, you'll look back and realize that what you thought was lost was actually liberation. That by releasing what was, you stepped into what could be. So, if something in your life feels heavy, not because of effort, but because of attachment, maybe it's time to breathe, time to release, time to trust that what's meant for you will never need to be forced. Because peace isn't found by adding more. It's found by letting go of what no longer belongs. And that's how you move lightly, freely, fully, into the next chapter of your becoming. The power of stillness. There's a kind of power that the world rarely teaches. The power of stillness. In a time when everyone is rushing, chasing, scrolling, comparing, stillness has become an act of quiet rebellion. It's the space between your thoughts where truth lives. It's the silence where your real voice can finally be heard. You see, most people mistake movement for progress. They run faster, work harder, fill every moment with noise, afraid of what might surface if they ever stop. But here's the paradox. You don't grow stronger by doing more. You grow wiser by learning to pause. Stillness isn't laziness. It's awareness. It's when you step back from the noise of the world to listen to the whisper of your own soul. Because beneath the chaos of every day, there's a deeper rhythm guiding you, if you're still enough to hear it. Think about it. The ocean is never afraid to be calm. The mountain doesn't apologize for standing silent. The sun doesn't rush to rise. It moves with perfect patience, one dawn at a time. Nature understands what we forget, that everything unfolds at its own pace. You don't have to force every outcome. You don't have to control every detail. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to be still and trust the process. Stillness gives you clarity. It allows you to see your life not as a series of problems, but as a landscape of lessons. It helps you notice what truly matters and what never did. Because when you stop long enough to breathe, to listen, to reflect, you realize how much energy you've been wasting fighting battles that don't even belong to you. You don't have to respond to every opinion. You don't have to chase every opportunity. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You simply have to be. Stillness is where strength gathers before action. It's the pause before wisdom speaks. It's the quiet space where your intuition, that ancient inner compass, becomes audible again. In that stillness, you'll find your direction, not by thinking harder, but by allowing understanding to rise naturally. Like a pond clearing after the storm. When the ripples settle, the reflection becomes clear. There's a reason why the greatest teachers, philosophers, and leaders all valued solitude. Because without stillness, you can't see. Without silence, you can't hear truth. Without reflection, you can't grow. Stillness doesn't demand that you escape the world. It asks that you come back to yourself, to remember that beneath the noise of deadlines, opinions, and distractions, there's a quiet wisdom inside you that already knows what to do. But you can't access it if you never stop moving. So, find moments to step away. Wake up early and sit with your thoughts before the world wakes up. Take walks without your phone. Breathe deeply before reacting. Listen without interrupting. These small acts of stillness are not weaknesses. They are your strength training for the mind. Because when you learn to be still, you become less reactive and more intentional. You stop chasing and you start attracting. You stop fearing and you start understanding. The world will always try to pull you into its rush. But you have the choice to slow down, to move through life with calm purpose. And when you do, something powerful happens. You stop living on the surface and start living from depth. You begin to act not out of fear or pressure, but from peace and clarity. Stillness gives you the space to realign, to remember what you stand for, where you're going, and why you started. It brings you back to your center, the place within you that no chaos can touch. So, don't be afraid to pause. Don't feel guilty for resting. Don't think silence is empty, because it's in silence that you'll hear life the loudest. In stillness, you don't lose momentum. You find meaning. You don't fall behind. You rise above. You don't escape the world. You understand it. And once you master that, once you can stay calm in a storm, there's nothing the world can take from you. Because true strength isn't loud. It's still. It's quiet. It's unshakable. The fire within, rediscovering purpose. There comes a time in every life when you must stop asking what the world wants from you and start asking what ignites your soul. Because beneath all your goals, routines, and responsibilities, there's something deeper that calls to you. It's not loud, it's not demanding. It's a quiet, persistent pull from within. That's your purpose. And it's been waiting for you to listen. The fire within you was never meant to go out. But for many it dims. Slowly, quietly, beneath the weight of expectations, fears, and ordinary days. We trade curiosity for comfort, passion for practicality. And somewhere along the way, we stop asking the question that matters most. What am I here for? Purpose isn't something you find in a single moment. It's something you uncover through experience, by living, by trying, by failing, by learning. It's not a single answer. It's a direction. It's the reason you get up when you fall, the force that keeps you moving when motivation fades. You won't always feel it as excitement. Sometimes, purpose feels like quiet responsibility. Sometimes, it feels like showing up for what matters even when no one notices. Sometimes, it's not glamorous. It's just true. And here's the secret. Your purpose isn't about what you get. It's about what you give. It's the value you bring, the energy you share, the difference you make in the lives around you. It's what remains of you after every title, every possession, every success fades. You see, there's a fire inside you that no failure can extinguish. Only neglect can. The longer you ignore it, the quieter it becomes. But the moment you begin to listen again, to act, to create, to give, to serve, that fire returns stronger than before. Purpose doesn't always arrive as clarity. Sometimes it begins as curiosity. Follow what fascinates you. Follow what gives you energy instead of draining it. Follow what feels right, even when it doesn't make sense to others. Because your purpose won't always make sense in the beginning. It only becomes clear in motion. The people who find their fire don't wait for certainty. They start with what they have, where they are. They take one step, and that step leads to the next. That's how purpose unfolds, not in leaps, but in layers. But remember this. Purpose isn't something you chase. It's something you embody. It's the way you live, the way you love, the way you respond to life itself. You can turn any job, any role, any circumstance into purpose if you do it with intention. It's not what you do, but how you do it starred asterisk. Sweep the floor like it's your craft. Speak to others like every word matters. Create like the world is watching, and then create even when it isn't. That's purpose, living with meaning, not just motion. But sometimes, to rediscover that fire, you must strip away everything that isn't truly you. The opinions, the noise, the expectations. You must be brave enough to ask, is this what I want or just what I've been told to want? Because your fire won't burn under someone else's definition of success. It only burns under the oxygen of authenticity. Don't be afraid to outgrow old dreams. Don't be afraid to start again. The fire within you doesn't expire. It waits. And the moment you turn your attention inward, it responds. So ask yourself, what makes me come alive? What do I do that makes time disappear? What would I give the world, even if no one thanked me for it? That's where your purpose lives. And once you reconnect with it, your life will no longer be something you simply manage. It will become something you ignite. When you live from purpose, obstacles lose their power. You stop asking, how long will it take? And start saying, as long as it takes. You stop chasing motivation and start moving for meaning. Because when your fire is real, you don't need permission, applause, or certainty. You just move forward, glowing quietly from the inside out. So, guard that fire. Feed it with truth, with courage, with action. And never let the world's noise drown out your inner flame. Because the greatest tragedy is not that life ends too soon. It's that we wait too long to begin truly living. You were not born to drift. You were born to burn. And when your fire meets your faith, the world begins to change around you, becoming unshakable, the inner fortress. At some point on this journey, life will test you, not to destroy you, but to strengthen what cannot be shaken. And that's where the true work begins, building your inner fortress. Because no matter how much wisdom you gain, how much success you achieve, or how much peace you create, there will always be storms. The goal isn't to avoid them. The goal is to stand firm through them. To be unshakable doesn't mean being untouched by pain. It means being unmoved by fear. It means knowing that no matter what happens outside of you, there's something steady and sacred inside of you that cannot be broken. You see, most people build their sense of security on sand, on money, titles, approval, relationships. And when those things shift, they crumble. But the wise build on bedrock, on values, faith, discipline, and self-trust. That's your fortress. It's not made of walls. It's made of principles. And every choice you make, every challenge you endure, every lesson you learn adds another brick. It begins with self-mastery. Learning to manage your emotions instead of being ruled by them. Because you can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond. And that response, calm, deliberate, centered, is what separates strength from struggle. When you become unshakable, you stop reacting out of impulse and start responding out of wisdom. You stop being thrown off by every opinion, setback, or delay. You realize that life is not happening to you. It's happening through you. Even in chaos, you remain centered. Even in loss, you stay grounded. Even in uncertainty, you trust. That's not denial, that's power. Because the person who controls their inner world will always outlast the one who's mastered the outer. But how do you build that kind of strength? It starts in small moments. When you choose patience over anger. When you choose gratitude over complaint. When you choose action over excuse. Each time, you fortify your foundation, reinforcing your walls from within. The fortress isn't built overnight. It's built day by day, decision by decision, moment by moment. And you'll know you're becoming unshakable when your peace no longer depends on perfect circumstances. When things can fall apart, and yet somehow you don't, because you've realized something essential. You don't find stability by controlling life. You find it by trusting yourself to handle whatever comes. When you know who you are, deeply, truly, no criticism can wound you, and no praise can seduce you. You become free. Free from approval. Free from fear. Free from the chaos that used to control you. The storms don't stop, but they stop owning you. And that's when you discover a new kind of power. Quiet, calm, unbothered. It's not the roar of confidence. It's the silence of certainty. The unshakable person doesn't need to prove strength. They embody it. Their calmness in crisis is their message. Their stability under pressure is their victory. And here's the secret. Being unshakable doesn't mean being emotionless. You'll still feel deeply. You'll still care. But your emotions will serve you, not steer you. You'll feel pain without breaking and joy without losing balance. Because your peace no longer depends on the weather. It comes from the climate you've built within. The inner fortress isn't built from resistance. It's built from alignment, from living in harmony with what's true for you, from choosing integrity over comfort, meaning over approval, and discipline over desire. And once you've built that inner strength, once you've tasted that calm that no storm can take, you begin to move differently. You speak slower, but with more weight. You act with less noise, but more intention. You live not to impress, but to express truth. People will feel it before they understand it. They'll sense the peace in you that can't be shaken, because it's not borrowed, it's built. And that's when you realize this is the power you've been searching for all along, not to control the world, but to master yourself, not to escape life's storms, but to walk through them, untouched, unbroken, unshakable, the legacy of becoming, living beyond yourself. There comes a point on this journey where the question changes. It's no longer, what can I gain? It becomes, what can I give? No longer, how far can I go? But how many can I lift as I rise? That's the evolution of becoming, when your growth expands beyond the self and begins to touch the world. Because true success isn't measured by what you achieve for yourself, but by what you inspire in others. You see, life isn't meant to end with you. It's meant to flow through you. Your lessons, your scars, your victories, your wisdom, they're not trophies to keep. They're tools to share. Every experience you've endured wasn't random. It was training. And now, you carry something only you can give. Perspective. Legacy isn't built through words carved in stone. It's built through lives you've touched, hearts you've helped, and hope you left behind. It's in the advice you gave when no one was watching, the kindness you offered when no one could repay you, the belief you gave to someone who'd stopped believing in themselves. That's what endures. And here's the truth. You don't have to be perfect to make an impact. You just have to be present. Someone, somewhere, is watching the way you live, learning from your example, whether you realize it or not. Your calm in chaos, your discipline in difficulty, your hope in hardship. That's your legacy in motion. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more light. And you can become that light by living your truth fully, courageously, consistently. Because your becoming is not just for you. It's a gift to others. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, every time you stay kind in a cruel moment, every time you keep going when quitting would be easier, you strengthen the invisible fabric that holds humanity together. And that's legacy, the quiet influence of a life well lived. You may never know the full ripple effect of your presence. A word you spoke, a gesture you offered, a small act of care, these moments travel further than you'll ever see. We often think legacy means grand achievements, but the truth is, it's built in small, sacred moments. Moments of service, moments of truth, moments of love. To live beyond yourself doesn't mean to neglect your dreams. It means to align them with something larger. It means asking not just what do I want, but what do I want to leave behind? Because everything you build, the career, the wealth, the recognition, all of it fades with time. But who you become and how you make others feel, that echoes forever. Legacy is not about being remembered. It's about being felt. It's about planting seeds of strength and wisdom that will outlive you. It's about becoming the person others silently thank, even if they never say your name. So, live in a way that when people cross paths with you, they leave lighter, more hopeful, more alive. Let your life remind others that greatness isn't about having power. It's about giving purpose. It's not about being the loudest voice. It's about being the truest one. You may not change the whole world, but you can change someone's world. And that's enough, because that's how light spreads. One person, one moment, one act at a time. And before you know it, the world looks a little brighter because you were here. So keep becoming, not for applause, not for validation, but for impact, for meaning, for the quiet knowing that your life, your growth, your presence, your becoming made the world just a little more human. And when your story is finally told, let it be said that you lived fully, gave freely, and left something beautiful behind. Not just in words, but in people. That's legacy. That's immortality of the spirit. That's the final chapter of becoming. When you stop trying to make a name and start trying to make a difference. Because in the end, you won't be remembered by how high you climbed, but by how deeply you cared. The final reflection, the return to self. At the end of every journey, no matter how far you've traveled, there comes a moment of quiet, a moment when you stop and look back. And in that stillness, you realize something profound. You were never really searching for the world. You were searching for yourself. All the success, all the lessons, all the struggle, they weren't destinations. They were mirrors, showing you who you truly are beneath the noise, beneath the roles, beneath the expectations. The journey of becoming was never about becoming someone else. It was about returning to the person you were meant to be before the world told you who you should be. That's the final truth, the homecoming of the soul. You see, wisdom isn't found at the top of the mountain. It's found in the quiet realization that you've carried what you were looking for all along. Peace, purpose, strength. They were never out there. They were always within. Life has a way of bringing you full circle. You go out into the world to chase identity, achievement, and meaning. And if you're lucky, you come back with the understanding that the greatest treasure is awareness. The awareness of who you are, what matters, and what no longer does. You learn that happiness isn't having everything, but in needing less. You learn that love isn't about possession, but presence. You learn that success isn't about reaching higher. It's about living deeper. And when you finally see that, something shifts. You stop chasing and you start being. You stop performing and you start living. You stop trying to become and realize you already are. That doesn't mean the journey ends. No, it simply changes form. You move from striving to flowing, from seeking to expressing, from effort to essence. You begin to walk lighter, speak gentler, listen deeper. You find beauty in simplicity and wisdom in quiet. You live not as a seeker of life, but as a participant in its wonder, because you finally understand this moment right here is enough. The person you become is not perfect, but they are real, and realness is rare. You've faced your shadows and found your light. You've learned to let go of what you can't control and hold close what truly matters. You've discovered that peace isn't a destination. It's a decision. And you made that decision again and again through every trial, every dawn. So as you stand here at the quiet threshold of your next beginning, breathe. Look back with gratitude, not regret. Look forward with faith, not fear. And look inward with love. Because everything that's gotten you here has been leading you home. You are no longer defined by your past, your pain, or your possessions. You are defined by your presence, by your capacity to love, to grow, to understand. And maybe that's the highest form of success. To live each day with a calm mind, a grateful heart, and a soul at peace with itself. So, take this final truth with you. You don't need to chase the light. You are the light. Let it guide you. Let it heal others through you. Let it remind you in every storm that the sun was never gone. It was only waiting behind the clouds of your own doubt. Because now you know. The journey of becoming was never about finding power, wealth, or recognition. It was about awakening to yourself, to the unshakable, compassionate, luminous being that has always lived within you. And as you walk forward into the rest of your life, walk with grace, walk with purpose, walk with peace. For you have become what you were always meant to be, whole, awake, and free.